Hey everybody, this is Elizabeth from Silvernest Homeschool Mama 4, and I'm really excited about this shelf today because this has some of my favorite fantasy books of all time that I read as a child, some of them, and some of them we discovered as we were homeschooling our children. If you've been following along in this journey, this is the one where you want to really look in and push in, because these are the books that I would highly, highly recommend for people to add to their library. All right, we're going to start with The Borrowers. This is set in England, and it's about little tiny people that live in the walls and under the floorboards and borrow things to create their own little secret life, hiding away from the grown-ups. It's set back more in the Victorian time period, and so their clothes and everything are from that time period. Have been some movies and stuff made from this, but nothing is as good as this first classic where Ariadne, the daughter, young coming of age story, trying to find her place in a world where they think they're the only ones left of their whole kind of people. And what are they going to do about that? The series continues with them. Okay, this is, I think, the last one, The Avenged. They go on they have to leave. There's a second copy again because my kids, I like to get more than one copy because I want to keep them, but then also some of my kids like them enough to keep them. And so the second one is actually about them going out and living in it's called Borrowers Afield, which I think one of my kids is reading right now. And so they have to go live outside and find a way to live and survive in an old boot. And then they go on another adventure to try to find a safe place to stay permanently and to try to meet other borrowers. And then Borrowers Aloft, they actually figure out how to make a balloon and escape. So great series. Great to read aloud. Oh, there it is. Borrowers Afield. I love this one. This is my favorite one, where they all figure out how to live in a boot. And the wife has to be so brave and deal with bugs and things. And it's just, they do a great job of treating it like it's real. What would really happen if you were that size. All right, other things I highly recommend. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by Ian Fleming, author of, did he write all the books about cars and racing? Spy guy, can't remember his name. Anyway, this one's amazing. This is way better than the movie, and I love the movie by Disney. This is such a fabulous book. Great read aloud. If you can find the audio version, is fantastic, but also read to your kids. The car does have some magical properties, but the dad puts a lot of them in because he's the inventor, and they have to fight back against some evil thieves. So more realistic than the way that the movie makes it, more fantastical. But I super, super enjoy this one. All right, we also have more Mary Poppins, which should be on a different shelf, but this one is Mary Poppins in the Park. And the real Mary Poppins was quite snarky and kind of mean at times, but she does a good job whipping everybody into shape and full of great adventures. There's a lot more kids in the books than there ever was in the movie, and so highly recommend that series. The Neverending Story. This was also made into a movie, but what blew my mind in high school was when I found this copy, I did not realize that the book stopped halfway through the movie. I mean, the movie stopped and the book kept going for another whole half of a book. And so very fascinating to find out what happens when you take fantasy too far, when you take power too far. Highly recommend for a high school, middle school discussion. An Ordinary Princess by MMK. And this is all about the excitement is high. The seventh princess, always the luckiest, most beautiful, has been born. And the christening day arrives. Her serene and royal highness Princess Amethyst, Alexandra, Augusta, Armida, Arleda, anyway. And her gift is you shall be ordinary. And so she has to deal with the fact that she is not as special as she thought she was going to be. H.G. Wells, The Time Machine and the Invisible Man. I love The Time Machine for high school. There's a good book. It's a short story. It's not as long. And the movie goes well with it. I would highly recommend pairing this for a high school assignment discussing time, and also it's kind of dystopian. And so discussing what kinds of results happen when you take some things to their natural conclusions. All right, we also have The Giver. This is another dystopian novel recommended for middle school, high schooler. Probably, I think my kids read it in high school. So, Under the Lilacs. This is probably the most boring Louisa May Alcott book ever written, but I've had it since high school, and one of my kids also tried to read it, and she agreed with me that it is one of the most boring. So if you are skipping Louisa May Alcott books, this is probably one to skip. All right, this one is for your elementary school students. Mrs. Pigwiggle, she is amazing. She comes up with know-it-all cures, all kinds of cures. Every kid that has trouble, the moms call Mrs. Pigwiggle, and Mrs. Pigwiggle knows how to solve it by giving them some kind of cure. Whether the one with the bad table manners, she sends a pig over that knows how to eat perfectly, and that inspires the child to learn to eat perfectly. Or the never cleaned your room up cure, where they just stop telling them to clean up the room, and then the room gets so messy and so full that they can't get out to play with their friends, and they can't even get out of the door, and so they learn to clean the room. Very funny, set back in the 50s when it was originally written. Highly recommend. Laugh aloud. Audio, read it aloud, read it themselves. Yeah, just love this series. All right, second copy of Borrowers Afloat. Same reason. And extra copies of The Voyage of the Dawn Treader and A Swiftly Tilting Planet. I think we have 3 copies of Swiftly Tilting Planet, Madeline L'Engle. The Wrinkle in Time series, great series again, good read aloud, good discussion, fantasy, super interesting the way that they go from the mitochondria way down in the body all the way up to the big, and the discussions and the things that we have. Very, very, very excellent series. Again, of course, we love C.S. Lewis. This was the copies that I had when I was a kid. So when I saw this at a free cycle, I was like, I want that copy again, even though I really don't think it does a good job capturing what the book, described this boat as. All right, and then another C.S. Lewis, Perelandria. I never really got into this series. One of my children tried one of them, and again, it just hasn't been one of our favorites. I would say it's just a grown-up series, and since my favorite genre does happen to be children's literature, it's probably why it isn't my favorite, but we do have a copy in case the kids are interested, because sometimes when they find the list of books, and they're like, oh, they also wrote this, so we just like to have access to them. All right, The Little Prince in French and in English. This is a book that we take the kids through in French class, as well as these are the copies for my husband when he was in college doing his own French class. And yeah, great story. Again, great discussion about all kinds of things. This is such a philosophy discussion story. And there is a really cute little movie made that I would do after I read the books. Yeah. Highly recommend if you want to have good discussions. This whole section brings in those. Okay, we've also got a lovely 3-copy in one Lord of the Rings J.R.R. Tolkien hardback. So all 3 in here. We have multiple copies of that because it's one of my husband's favorite series. These are also my husband's series from when he was a kid. The Lloyd Alexander. We have all 4 of them, but my daughter's reading one of them. The High King, The Castle of Lear, and Taran the Wanderer. These are the Chronicles of Prydain. He read them out loud to them. And The Black Cauldron is the one that Disney turned into a movie. It wasn't my favorite, and so I think I've heard them read out loud, but this seems to be like one thing that they've shared together that I've kind of skipped out on. I do like Lloyd Alexander, as you will see, but not that series. It just wasn't my series. All right, let's skip this one for a second and come to these, because these are Lloyd Alexander. Nope, that one isn't. These are. Oh, there we go. And the Book of 3. See, I didn't tidy these up for you guys. This is just the way it really is. All right, other Lloyd Alexander books that I liked were the Westmark series. This has a lot to do with the unfairness of war and the reality of trying to do a healthy revolution when things are wrong. But it also has some really great characters. Truly love it. And the first one, The Beggar Queen. Oh, love this book. He also wrote a bunch of other series, including the Vesper Holly series that I read a lot as a kid. The Illyrian Adventure. She's from the 1700s, maybe 1800s. And she goes around and has different great adventures, kind of like Indiana Jones. And they stopped carrying them at my local library, and so I've been slowly collecting them. He also wrote The Golden Dreams of Carlo Clutches? Chuchio. There we go. I can read. I have my glasses on that make it harder for me to see. Sorry, guys. Anyway, this one is one I grabbed when I was grabbing a bunch of books from him. So as I said, the library's no longer carrying them. So we have been picking them up especially for my daughter, who is a fantasy writer, so she can have more books to be inspired by. All right. Then we have the Frank Herbert Heretics of Dune. I've read Dune. I really like Dune. And the 70s movie was the one that I grew up on in fast forward version. But this one is just one of the later ones. I never really got into the rest of them. I had friends that did. But again, we were just have a copy of Dune. And so I found this for free. So I grabbed it as well. I think nobody in our family has actually read it. Outside. This was my Andre Norton, my very first dystopian book I ever read as a kid. But it's about this group of people that are kept underground. And they're not allowed to go outside because they're told that the world has been ruined. And I had never read anything like that before. And so this is one of those discovery books by a young girl. And the last one on here are When the Tripods Came by John Christopher. We have the whole tripod series in my son's room. This is when they first landed. I love the tripod series. This one freaked me out, and it's freaked out every one of my kids too. I kind of wish I hadn't read it, but again, we got it for free, and the kids were curious to know what happened and how they came, but it was mind control from the children watching too much TV. Oh, no wonder. Anyway, that's... And then written probably in the 70s, the tripods cap people. They put these metal caps on their heads to control their thoughts so that they can have a peaceful society and be able to dominate our world. And it's about a group of kids that choose to not get capped and run away and learn how to overthrow them. So it's a 3-book series, plus this was the prequel, so that makes book 4. All right. Oh, wait a minute. Who we got over here? Just in case, the Black Cauldron did come back. Hey guys, there it is. The first one. Daughter pulled it out to read in her battle of the books for school. So this is what I had on the shelf. I hope that was interesting and helpful to you. If you want to know any more about any of these individual series, let me know in the comments. And if you have any of your favorite fantasy series, they might still be coming, because I do have a few more shelves to go over in this series before we are done. And we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.